viewers, to today's edition of Money Moves. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I am Grace Agbarago. It's Thursday, the 15th of January. We thank you for joining us at this time on this show.
All right, let's begin with your news now. Nigeria's DF Capital Management and Trust PLC has signed an MOU with BankLink Africa's Equity Fund to launch a Pan-African minerals and metals financing initiative. The partnership will target critical mineral projects linked to digitization, the energy transition, advanced manufacturing and technology, providing financing, advisory, and capital structuring services. Israel Ovira, chair of BankLink Africa, said the collaboration could boost African companies' access to global capital markets and support long-term industrial growth. Inclusive growth is taking center stage for financial leaders across Africa. Speaking on the challenges and opportunities, IMF Director for the African Development, Abebe Emro Selassie, highlights strategies to promote equitable economic development and sustainable financial inclusion. Let's listen.
First point I want to make is that, one thing I loved about the report and the issues that it highlights is it really shows how the importance of technology, the digital transformation, particularly with regard to financial inclusion that has taken place in the region over the years. I think, honestly, of course, I'm biased, I'm talking my book, but really difficult to think of a region that has been impacted as much by digital transformation as Sub-Saharan Africa has. Particularly in the area of digital finance, leapfrogging we've seen in action. I remember I was based in the mid-2005-6 in East Africa, in Kampala, and I remember when M-Pesa was, just being rolled out in Kenya, and there came a point when, about 10 years ago when I was in Nairobi, wanted to make a payment and I couldn't because I didn't have an M-Pesa account. I had to scramble to exchange dollars for shillings to be able to make payments. And this was not quite, it's outside Nairobi. So the penetration of digital finance, technology use at all aspects of life is really just incredible. It has allowed leapfrogging, it has allowed it has had an impact on social life, political life, way more, including the dissemination of information. So it's transformational. And Africa has been really quick to adapt to this. And it's through that lens that I see all the things that are ongoing right now in terms of the AI space, but also other remaining issues to be addressed.
In other news, Kenya has reached a preliminary trade agreement with China that grants duty-free market access to 98.2% Kenyan exports, the Trade Ministry said. The deal follows talks towards a full bilateral trade agreement and comes as Nairobi deepens economic ties with Beijing. President William Ruto has said expanding exports to China is key to narrowing Kenya's trade deficit. In Nigeria, at the 2025 licensing round pre-bid conference, stakeholders gathered to outline the framework, timelines, and opportunities ahead as the country moves to attract fresh investment into its oil and gas sector. Here are excerpts.
It's a great pleasure, to join you today at the 2025 NUPROC licensing, pre-bid conference, here in Lagos. The bidding process had a robust program, which reflects our shared, commitment to transparency, efficiency, and accountability in Nigeria's upstream sector. This upcoming licensing round presents a clear opportunity for investors and operators to participate in Nigeria's petroleum industry. But let me make it clear from the beginning that, look, these assets should not be taken as mere symbols, status symbols. What I've discovered in my over 2 years as minister is that some people have had licenses for 20 years. And they're very proud, going around the world with the nicest suits and say, look, I have, a license, that had no value to their lives and to the Nigerian economy. But these licenses belong to federal government of Nigeria. We give you a license to operate within a given time frame, so it doesn't belong to you automatically. But even if you have it, and you haven't done anything, what value have you added to yourself? You've ended up wasting your money, you know, and then fooling yourself around the world saying they have a license and seeking for investors that will never come. Investors will come based on clear parameters. No investor will come because they wear a nice suit. So I want to say from the beginning that, look, these 2025 licenses shouldn't be status symbols for people to say, I have a license. No, that era should be gone and gone forever in Nigeria.
OPEC has released its monthly oil market reports. The organization forecasts global economic growth at 3.1% in 2026 and 3.2% in 2027. For 2026, growth is projected at 2.1% in the US, 1.2% in the Eurozone, 4.5% in China, 6.6% in India, 2.0% in Brazil, and 1.3% in Russia. Global oil demand is expected to rise by 1.4 million barrels per day in 2026, driven primarily by non-OECD countries, adding 1.2 million barrels per day, followed by a 1.3 million barrels per day increase in 2027. Non-DOC liquids supply is forecast to grow by 0.6 million barrels per day in both 2026 and 2027, led by Brazil, Canada, the US, Argentina, and Qatar. Crude output from DOC countries declined by 238,000 barrels per day in December to 42.83 million barrels per day. At the Nigerian Exchange today, a closing gong ceremony marked the official launch of the NGX Net Zero program, underscoring the exchange's commitment to sustainability, green finance, and a low-carbon economy. Here are excerpts.
Before the $1 worth of money today, there's a climate sustainability lens that they look at, and many firms, you know, in their sort of buckets also do something similar. So how do we make and close that gap of what we all see as an opportunity, but for which there's not a lot of execution? So we thought to really celebrate, of course, DEG for the partnership that they're doing with the exchange. They're actually giving us hardcore currency. We also bring some funds to contribute our companies to support our ecosystem. And Brand was a very big part, not just of that, but again, over the last 7 years, helping us to transform our markets.
Africa is a very important region for us. It's the most important region after Latin America. So we do even more business in Africa than in Asia now. With very good experience. It's a dynamic region. And Nigeria is the second largest market, very important. And NGX exchange stands for capital markets. Capital markets stand at the core of private sector development. So I think, it can't be a better place to launch such an initiative, working with the major companies here, with leaders in the market on climate and impact, to create even more value with their shareholders beyond profit. It's also about impact and climate, and the wonderful thing, it's not a contradiction. You can only be profitable long term if you considerate impact and climate as well, and vice versa. So it's a business case, it's about the future.
Finally, on News Now today, the Nigerian Exchange confirmed on January 12, 2026, the listing of 3,156,869,665 ordinary shares, following UBA PLC's recent rights issue, which offered 1 new share for every 13 held at 50 naira each. UBA Group CEO Oliver Alawuba said the move reflects strong investor confidence and will support the bank's Pan-African and global expansion. With this latest infusion, UBA's total capital now exceeds 513 billion naira, surpassing the Central Bank of Nigeria's 500 billion naira minimum for banks with international authorization. I am Melissa Enoch, and that's it on News Now this Thursday. The show returns shortly with Grace at the FMBQ Archives Room, giving us our markets round. Stick around.
We are, as you know, we are Pan-African. It's in our DNA. It's the DNA of householding of our parent group. And our investment thesis is even named after Africa, Africa capitalism. But you know, I can't talk about deals or things that are in motion. I think what I can tell you is that the way we have come today to make an announcement on the second pillar, on flares elimination, I think let's watch this space. We think we would have some announcements to make on the third pillar in the coming months, year 2026. And then for Africa, I think that I have to say, wait, you'll be one of the very first to know. But you should know that we are very active. We've met in a number of the locations in Africa as we are trying to play out and build our Africa playbook. But take that aside, we are looking, and this today is just an indication that we are looking to be impactful in energy, in Nigeria and in Africa.
Welcome back to Money Moves. Let's now go over to Grace for today's market rounds. Hello there, Grace.
Hi, Melissa. Let's take a look at how the markets traded today, starting off with the equities. The NGX All-Share Index slipped by 0.43%, recording its first decline since the year started, while the BROVM rose 0.95% to 349.43. The Nairobi Securities Exchange advanced 0.53% to 193.87. In South Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is 0.16%, and in North Africa, Egypt's EGX 30 gained 0.67%, while Morocco's MASI declined 0.92%. Let's do a quick round on some of the Pan-African currencies. The rand strengthened 0.20% to 16.37 against the US dollar. The Egyptian pound was nearly flat, down 0.02%, while the CFA franc gained 0.12%. The Kenyan shilling remained unchanged at 129.00. The Moroccan dirham rose 0.20% to 9.23, while the naira is 0.19% to 1,417.87 0.47 as at 13:34 GMT. Let's switch into the commodities data deck, beginning with energy prices. Oil prices tumbled sharply, with Brent crude falling 4.15% to $63.76, while US WTI dropped 4.29% to $59.36. Natural gas bucked the trend, rising 1.57% to $3.16, while Arabian gasoline slumped 3.24% to $1.77 as at 13:27 GMT. Finally, two metals prices. Gold eased 0.44% to $4,615.10. Copper fell 1.30% to $5.97, and platinum declined 0.46% to $2,361. Aluminium dropped 0.86%, while iron ore dipped 0.20% to $107.68 as at 13:29 GMT. And that's our Money Moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you very much for those market updates. And that's it for today's edition of Money Moves. We hope you all enjoyed the show. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching and bye for now.